The Father. Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all well. In this video we are going to be reviewing the award-winning movie The Father, which is a truly brilliant, sensational movie that really does put the audience into the mind of the lead character who is suffering from dementia and Alzheimer's, and as a result you can definitely feel the heartbreak, the confusion, the paranoia and the fear from this character firsthand. As a result as well, as the directors used to be playwrights themselves, at points it does feel like a little bit of a play on screen, which actually works really well for this movie. And this movie is so simple in its style and its setting, yet is so powerful in its execution, and it really does stick with you for a long time after you've watched it in a really haunting, chilling and upsetting way, and I just cannot wait to break it down for you in this movie review. So from a storyline point of view, like I said before, the film places you into the mind of Anthony, who is the lead character in this movie, who is suffering from dementia, and as such you see and experience things from his point of view. He used to live on his own in his apartment, he then had some carers in his apartment as well, and now he lives with his daughter who is caring for him as well. And as he is suffering from dementia, his narrative is a little bit confused, a little bit unreliable, a little bit fragmented and inaccurate as well, which you definitely experience as an audience member. Now from a positive point of view, I honestly feel like this movie is truly groundbreaking in how it executed its vision while still being really simplistic in its execution as well, which I think is absolutely brilliant. And you can really empathize and sympathize and empathize not only for Anthony himself but also for the other characters around him, as you really do experience things from his point of view. And so from a storyline point of view, it's really strong. The only negative I would say about this movie is that I would just want a little bit more from it, but all in all I just feel like it's very strong from a story narrative point of view. So from a cast and characters point of view, this movie is absolutely exceptional, really does deserve all of the awards that this movie is getting, which is truly brilliant. The film is led by two main characters. The first one is played by Anthony Hopkins, who is also called Anthony in this movie, and he just does an outstanding and brilliant portrayal. He's really charismatic and really endearing as a character, but also having really haunting and heartbreaking scenes, especially at the end, which is just so powerful. Next up we have Olivia Coleman, who is playing the Anne character, and you can really tell that she is just trying to do the best that she can. She is trying to do all that she can in terms of really being there for her father, and you can really see the impact that all of this is having on her and her relationships as well. Next up we have Imogen in this movie as well, who is playing the other daughter Lucy and also one of the carers in this movie, and she does a really good job in the few scenes that she is in. Next up we have Rufus Sewell, who is playing the Paul character, the husband to the Anne character. I think it's really interesting as well, seeing everything from his perspective in terms of somebody that's being there for Anne, trying to do the best that he can as well for Anthony, and also seeing the impact that actually someone from dementia has on another character as well. Next up we have Gatiss, who is playing Paul and Bill in this movie, and he has some truly awful scenes. I'll explain that when I get to the ending explain section, but I just feel like from a cast and characters point of view, this movie is truly awesome. So from a visuals point of view, it's really interesting with this film, as it's just so hyper simplistic in this movie. I mean, they've got very few set pieces, only really the flat, the nursing home and the hospital, which is only shown in one scene. So it's really interesting that you can have such a powerful movie with having very few set pieces, and also the fact that you're really in the mind of this character I think is really interesting, as you really do experience things from his point of view, and you can really see the impact not only for this character but all of the other characters around him. And so from a visuals point of view, I feel like this movie is really strong. In terms of comparisons, I think this movie definitely sits in the psychological thriller group, and I think the closest film that you can compare it to is Sightless, as that's also got a film where you can really experience things from the lead character's point of view. Their narrative is a little bit unreliable, and they've both lost something which is very dear to them in terms of how they live their life. I think you can also compare this movie to Run and The Sound of Metal as well, and from a dementia point of view I think you can definitely compare it to Falling and to Still Alice as well. And so from a comparison point of view, this movie is definitely in the psychological thriller group. I think it's definitely one of the better ones in this category. So So when you finish watching The Father, there are a few unanswered questions which I'm going to explain now, but first of all, I thought that line at the end with the Anthony character just screaming out for his mother, I just thought was so heartbreaking and so powerful, and you can really understand that this character just wants the protection of his mother, which I thought was super heartbreaking. But yes, the first thing I wanted to explain was the character that was slapping the Anthony character was actually one of the male nurses, which unfortunately is something that does actually happen in care homes, and the way that Anthony was dealing with this was that he was projecting the image of Paul on the Bill character. Next up, my interpretation is that the Anne character and the Paul character did actually get a divorce over the Anthony character, and now Anne is actually going to Paris to meet someone new. I know there is another interpretation, which is that the Paris thing was just Anthony's interpretation of why Anne is no longer seeing him all the time. Next up, we have the pillow suffocating scene, which I think is also really powerful and really haunting as well. I think there's two interpretations on this one. One is that the Anthony character just sees himself as a burden and just wants to kill himself. And the other one is that it's a disturbing thought that the Anne character is having in terms of wanting to kill her father and seeing that as a way to do it. As you also saw the scene where she is looking out of her window and seeing another happy couple and seeing that that's a life that she could be living. I think the other line at the end in terms of the leaves falling and the branches, the wind and the rain is an interpretation of showing that life is pretty empty and confusing without someone's mind. And then finally, I feel like the watch that the Anthony character is always desperate to try to find is his grasp and control over reality, and is his coping mechanism in trying to have a bit of stability in his life. And so those are my interpretations of this movie. So overall, I have to say, I think The Father is an absolutely excellent movie. I think it had outstanding performances. I really like the fact that they really put you into the mind of the lead character so that you can really understand dementia, and you can really understand how the characters and how other people who are suffering from this disease, how they're actually living their life and how they are interpreting everything in their life as well. And so for all of those reasons, I have to give it a solid 7.5 out of 10. I'd love to hear what you think, so please let me know in the comment section below. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you in my next video.